Shalom. Daddy's home. Shabbat Shalom. Daddy's home.
He would walk through the door, drop his bags. Daddy's home. Shabbat Shalom.
Hello guys, welcome back and thank you so much for being here. What's going on? Please like and share this video. Listen, let me tell you guys, Candace Owens is done protecting TPUSA, Erika, Kirk. She's done. And contrary to what a lot of people might want to believe, she really was at least shielding Erika from some of the backlash and some of the things that she was, shielding her from, like giving her the benefit of the doubt and, giving her grace and not wanting to go with her instinct as far as Erika is concerned. And I really believe that she was doing that because of her friendship with Charlie, Erika's late husband. And this is contrary to what people like to say, because I have seen so many people always, attacking Candace and saying things like, oh, you said this man was your friend and this is what you're doing to his wife, blah, blah, blah. So it's so interesting to me that these people cannot see that she really was. Even when there were so many things coming out and content creators and YouTubers and podcasters were already exposing things about Erika. But Candace held it together. She was still trying to give Erika grace, still being very understanding. And I guess that's what hurts the most. Like when you know in your heart that you're really trying to give somebody grace and you're really trying to be kind and fair to somebody, but then you have a bunch of people out there who are just maligning your name and claiming that you're being mean and wicked and you're doing bad things or whatever, and now she's saying she's done, and I personally, I cannot blame her because Erika and TPUSA, they have not treated her well, okay? Not with the so-called, the alleged hate campaigns that they have launched against her. So yeah, and I get why she's done, and I get why she's just like, okay, I'm gonna just tell everything. And yeah, and that's what she's doing. She's basically exposing the scam, the way TPUSA scam people into they have a way of citing wealthy people and scamming them. So listen to what she has to say. I'm not going to interpret. I'm going to let this play.
Shabbat Shalom. Daddy's home.
He would walk through the door, drop his bags. Daddy's home. Shabbat Shalom.
Him to pray. Any names?
Let me go ahead.
Email.
Okay. Just give me a second here.
I got an email from a woman, a Catholic woman, back in October, and the email did not sit right with me spiritually. There's a lot going on, though. I was obviously in survival mode mentally. I flagged the email. I filed it away in this inbox that I need to address this later. It's important. And I then decided to revisit it and to respond to the woman and to process what it was that had initially disturbed me. Now I'm going to read you this email, and I am going to protect information of people today. I'm not going to be giving out any names because it doesn't actually change the story any. This person wrote, Dear Candace, firstly, thank you and may God bless you and protect you for everything that you do. I pray for you every day, and I thank God for you bringing the light of truth and Christ to this world. I attended the memorial, and I ended up sitting next to
Hi, Judy.
Father Blank. He was actually the priest that flew with Erika to Utah. He was with her when they called her that he did not make it. He prayed over him. She actually asked him to pray the rosary there at the hospital, and he said the homily at the private funeral the Friday before the memorial. Now, in hindsight, it is strange to me that he was just put in the crowd at the memorial, but then again, he may have wanted that. I was at the memorial having zero personal or prior involvement or engagement with Turning Point USA or anyone from there, and I ended up sitting next to Father Blank and then with Erika at Mass the next day. I truly believe it is complete divine intervention. I prayed at the time and each day after exactly this. God, I see and feel you are leading me. I know there is a purpose. I don't know what it is or where you are taking me, but I'm following with complete surrender and faith to your holy will.
Can I just say something? People get so caught up in this, oh, God has a divine plan. They go somewhere and something profound, or in their mind, what they consider to be profound happens. And all of a sudden, they are basically crediting the Almighty for what's going on because, maybe from the very onset, from the outside looking in, they think this is a good thing. I think people really need to just test all spirits. That's what the Holy Book told us. That's what Jesus Christ instructed us to test all spirits. Work on your spirit of discernment. Don't be too quick to assume just because something glitters does not mean it's gold. Okay. Don't be too quick to assume that, yeah, this is meant to happen. This is going to benefit me. Because usually 8 out of 10 people end up realizing that no, this was a bad idea. If they had just maybe taken their time and not be too quick to jump on the bandwagon or whatever, they would have seen that this was something that was not going to be beneficial to them. So yeah.
I'll try to best email this with the relevant details, and I think that it may help. I was watching your podcast as I'm finishing up work, and I had to pause it when you played Alex Clark's interview because it honestly made my stomach hurt how untruthful what they were saying was. And I felt strong conviction to write you. I've never emailed a person I don't know in my life, but I'm following this conviction. I spent a good 8 hours sitting with Father Blank. I'm shy generally and was sitting with empty seats around me in the third row from the stage. So when I saw the priest walking by and looking like he didn't know where he was going, I said, "Hi, Father, I'm also Catholic. If you need a seat, this one's empty." Whether he wanted to or not, he sat down. He seemed like a holy priest, soft-spoken, but so sincere and genuine. He prayed in silence throughout and would smile and say, "Charlie wouldn't believe this," looking around the stadium. It was like he was going through a roller coaster of emotions right there. He shared stories of Charlie attending Mass and him spending a lot of time with Erika and Charlie. As Erika was talking on stage, Father held his hands towards her and was praying over her for protection and strength, tears going down his face from his stories and messages from Charlie that he showed me. It seemed like he was probably the closest person in that room to Charlie and to Erika, yet he was sitting with me like any other guest. Like I said, in hindsight, it just feels so off still. At some point during one of our conversations, we spoke about the daily Mass at his parish because I wanted to go.
She was such a mark. Whoever this person was such a mark, and she just didn't know it. She just didn't know it.
On Monday, before I flew back to Chicago, he said, yes, at 8:30 a.m., there would be Mass. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but then I saw a text from him at 6:30 a.m. saying, "Hope to see you at Mass." I knew it was my sign to just make it work and go. There were about 6 people at the 8:30 a.m. Mass that Monday, the large church of blank. I sat in the first row and I felt God's presence so powerfully the entire.
When things happen, people always just assume that there is a divine plan, there is a greater power, there is God. Everything that happens is about God. It's not usually the case. I wish people will learn discernment.
Entire Mass that I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. I didn't cry at the memorial, but I wept quietly the entire Mass. Afterward, I stayed to pray a while longer. Lights were starting to turn off, and I looked back and I noticed a tall bodyguard in the back, along with Erika and a middle-aged woman that was sitting by her. At that moment, I went back to prayer and I said, "God, if you'd like for her and I to connect or speak, please bring us together. If not, I will pray for her and I'll head out."
Little did you know that she was there to make contact with you. Little did you know.
I did not want to disrupt her, but also I had an intense knowledge of how much God's hand was present throughout the last 2 days. A minute or two later, as I was still in prayer, I had a tap on my shoulder by a woman. I believed it was an assistant. I can't remember what it is she does. She said, "Would you like to join Erika?" Candace, at that moment I thought, okay, God, I hear you. I've never had so much peace while blindly surrendering to God's will. Maybe I have, but I haven't ever seen it so clearly in action. I hugged Erika. I sat next to her in the last pew, and I just had the most beautiful conversation. She mentioned that Charlie went to Mass with her there, and that Father Don would open the church up for him there often.
And you know what's so crazy? When Charlie first passed away, and Candace was always talking about how Charlie was beginning to embrace the Catholic faith. Erika and her TPUSA quote unquote family, they went out in full force claiming it was a lie. It was not true. Charlie did not want to, was not interested in Catholicism. They tried to like discredit Candace for so long. It is so interesting now that everything that Candace said has basically come to pass, has been proven to be right. She's been proven to have been telling the truth the entire time. She's been proven to be the only one who was telling the truth the entire time. And the rest of them were lying so hard to discredit her. And that's the reason why I don't feel bad for them. That's the reason why I am definitely in support of Candace exposing them, because the things that they did, the way that they tried to discredit her, the way that they tried to they went after her credibility, trying to like destroy her credibility. And so like I see it, there has to be a diabolical reason why they will go after. They know that she knows something, and they are hoping that the things that she knows, they want to destroy her credibility before she ever gets a chance to expose the things that she knows. That way, if and when she chooses to expose it, that way her credibility would already be in question. And so these people can turn around and be like, oh, she's not credible, do not trust her. All of this is by design. The way that they went after her is by design. Look at all the things that she's been exposing recently. Like she literally posted a video of a Zoom conversation between Erika and some TPUSA staffers where Erika was giddy about the death of her husband. Like, she did not sound like a widow. And it was less than 2 weeks. It was about 11 days after Charlie passed away. And this woman had a Zoom meeting with a bunch of people, and she was excited about all the merch that they sold. She was excited about all the things that they were able to do, all the money they were able to raise, and all the people that came to the venue. About 275,000 people attended. Like, that was so creepy to me. That was so weird. That is not okay. Nothing about that is okay. And we should do our best to not normalize that kind of behavior. And now you have all these people who, in my opinion, are just paid actors to come up with all kinds of excuses as to why Erika may be grieving differently. No, there is a way that you grieve differently, but in the initial stage, the language of grieving is generally universal. Okay? It's universal. No, do not let anybody gaslight you into believing that, oh, Erica is just grieving differently. Nah. So they knew that Candace has so much that she might eventually have to expose. As the reason why at the initial stage they went after her credibility, tried to destroy her. They have all these influencers calling her all kinds of awful names. So much for the party of respect. They were calling this woman everything but the child of God. They were calling her out of her name, calling her a see you next Tuesday, calling her all kinds of things. Like, it is so weird. Whew.
When Charlie just wanted to pray
Anyways.
and reflect without being disrupted, and that he was with her the entire time from Arizona to Utah, in the hospital, etc. Mass with her there. And for you, I've never had so much peace while blindly surrendering to God's will. Maybe I have, but I haven't ever seen it so clearly in action. I hugged Erika. I sat next to her in the last pew, and I just had the most beautiful conversation. She mentioned that Charlie went to Mass with her there and that Father Don would open the church up for him there often when Charlie just wanted to pray and reflect without being disrupted, and that he was with her the entire time from Arizona to Utah, in the hospital, etc. I have so much I could share on all of the little miracles, but I just want to say that today I felt compelled to send this to you. And so I'm listening to my conviction in sending this, and I am hoping that the Holy Spirit and both of our guardian angels will direct this message as it is intended per God's will. I have to say, I felt more realness from Erika in my exchange with her in that church than from the memorial. I saw her at Mass again on Tuesday. I ended up staying an extra day because I had relics from St. Paul II that my mom wanted to give Erika flown there. I coordinated someone to fly it to me, and then I gave it to her. Okay. I am going to end it there. Now, why do you think that that email disturbed me and made me file it? Just check in the chat here. What is not right with that email? And I'll tell you, it wasn't the person who wrote it that disturbed me. I blanked out over a name because I'm going to tell you now that the person who tapped on her shoulder, who she thought was an assistant, was Stacey Sheridan. That was what disturbed me about the email and made me file it right away, because I knew exactly what happened and I did not have the heart to tell her what had happened, because I know who Stacey Sheridan is. I know what I told Charlie about Stacey Sheridan. I've seen her work. I've been at events with her. I knew that Stacey would have only done that if the girl who was writing me this email had a boatload of money. Didn't even need to look up this person or the email. I knew that they had that girl clocked before she walked into the memorial. I don't think actually it was God that sat her where she was sat, 3 rows in. She was amazed by all of this. Oh, I don't even know anybody here. Here I am. I don't even know Charlie. I don't know anybody at Turning Point USA. Here I am sitting at the front. And oh my gosh, this moment. And you know, Erika won't even speak to the staff at Turning Point USA, but Stacey Sheridan, would you like access to the grieving widow? I knew, and I filed it. I knew something was wrong. And then when I went to go revisit all these things that I had filed and I saw this, I went, oh my gosh, this makes me so sick. And I knew that I had to reach out to this person and I had to say it. Hey, don't know anything about you, but I'm going to assume you have a lot of money, and it breaks my heart to tell you this, but you were targeted. They would have known everything about you. That's how they work. Before everyone is seated, Stacey Sheridan's job literally is to know everything about that person, their net worth. She'll know your dad's net worth, your mom's net worth. She would tell Charlie, she whispered in Charlie's ear, that person runs so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And then Charlie will go have the conversation.
You know, that's really sick.
That was the whole reason they brought her on.
That's really, really sick. And you know what this reminds me, what she's saying now? It reminds me of growing up in Nigeria. And I'm also a Catholic. I was born and raised a Catholic. But, you know, I was also given the freedom to find my own path. Just because you're born into a Catholic family does not mean you cannot find your own path. If so I was always encouraged, to seek my own experience, my own truth or whatever. And in doing that, I got to experience other denominations. I got to experience, Protestants. I got to experience, just name whatever denominations. And whenever there's foreign pastors, I have friends who are Protestants. I have friends who are Anglicans. I have friends who are from different religious backgrounds. And so whenever there was any of these Western preachers coming into the country to preach, my friends who are of the denominations, they would invite me. If they had a crusade, even if they had like a camp, I even went to camps. I even went to camps like summer camps, church summer camps or whatever for like 7 days with my friends of different denominations. So whenever whenever the Oral Roberts of the world, whenever the Reinhard Bonnke of the world, whenever they will come to Nigeria to preach the gospel, okay, to do evangelism, and I will attend. And so even preachers who are Nigerian preachers who are doing like revival services or whatever church event was going on, and I would attend those church events. And then, there is always this pre-service screening where ushers of the church would have you, they will ask you questions, just basic questions like your family background, what's your name, how many siblings do you have, and are your parents still together, those kinds of things they will ask you, like, you not even understanding the reason why they are asking you those questions, you give them those answers not even knowing. But then once the service starts and the so-called preacher starts preaching, all of a sudden you're minding your business, just paying attention to the preaching, and all of a sudden this pastor calls your name from the multitude of people. And then they call your name out and they start giving you your history. And you are in awe, like you are surprised and you are amazed that, oh my gosh, they are calling my name and they are telling me all these things. You probably don't even remember, in that excitement, nervousness or whatever, you don't even remember that you had just not even maybe 20 minutes or 1 hour ago giving your name and a bit of your history to a church usher. And the usher then transferred the information that you gave about yourself to the preacher, who then calls you out, and start prophesying to you and start seeing visions about your life and name dropping your father's name or your mother's name or your sibling's name. And the rest of the church is amazed because you are basically confirming everything that the pastor, the preacher is saying. And the rest of the church is amazed that, oh my gosh, so this pastor is very, very spiritually awake. This pastor really does hear from God. God is really using this pastor to communicate to this person. And then what happens usually, they end up giving more money because they have just witnessed a miracle. They had just witnessed a pastor call a random stranger's name and then start downloading the person's history, family name, and all this stuff. And so the next person who's out there is like so amazed at this miracle that they are witnessing, not knowing that they are just repeating back the information that they already collected, that you voluntarily handed out to them. So that's what this TPUSA's actions, this TPUSA's move is reminding me of my childhood, when I used to go to those conventions and when I used to go to those crusades. And just, yeah, that's just what this is reminding. And if you look at how much TPUSA, how close they are to Christianity, to how Christian based they are. This is evangelicals. This is what they do. They're taking a page out of the evangelical book, how they trick people into giving everything that they own, their life savings, their will, everything, willing all of their finances to the church. So that's what this is giving. This is straight out of an evangelical playbook.
That's what Stacey's brilliant at. Smelling money, truly. And so your mom's net worth, she would tell Charlie, she whispered in Charlie's ear, that person assume you have a lot of money, and it breaks my heart to tell you this, but you were targeted. They would have known everything about you. That's how they work. Before everyone is seated, Stacey Sheridan's job literally is to know everything about that person, their net worth. She'll know your dad's net worth, your mom's net worth. She would tell Charlie, she whispered in Charlie's ear, that person runs so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And then Charlie will go have the conversation. That was the whole reason they brought her on. That's what Stacey's brilliant at. Smelling money, truly. And so I had a conversation. I said, and actually, when we finally broke this conversation, she had already arrived at that conclusion. So that was back in October. She sent the email. And so my message to her, she said, yeah, I kind of figured this all out now. And I said, you got a lot of money? Yeah, got a lot of money. How much money we talking? Dad sold a huge business. She runs a massive business. They are wealthy, extraordinarily wealthy. And I said, now let's go through how this all really happened, because you were targeted, and I'd like to know how you ended up at the memorial. And so she tells me a story of how that all happened, and I'm going to walk you through it, because I think it is one of the more disgusting and disturbing things that I've heard throughout the story. Maybe I'm taking it more personally because I am Catholic, and I'm happy to be biased in that way, but I think you will tend to agree with me here. So just so there's no confusion, she was obviously telling the truth. She even supplied evidence in the form of a text message that the priest that she was sitting next to had shared with her. This is Charlie's text message. He's on a group chat with Erika and the priest. And this is the morning of September 9th. Now, Erika has been telling the truth when she says that Charlie would send messages and have biblical verses. I have tons with Charlie. They were typically relevant to whatever we were going through, a verse of encouragement, to keep going, to keep fighting. And here is the message that he chose to share. Again, group chat between him and Erika, September 9th. It is 1 Corinthians, Paul's letter to the Corinthians, 16:9. And it reads, for a wide door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries. Just find that message in general to be interesting, because it is him acknowledging that his opportunities have bred him enemies. Who were the adversaries? I find that to be interesting. That message was shared. Anyway, so I said, how did you actually arrive? Because people were waiting in the rain for tickets, and so there had to be a little bit inside baseball here. And then she said, oh, well, actually, I was at a different event, a marketing event, when Charlie was shot, and was networking with some people that were involved. It was a conference event with some people that were orbiting around, like PBD's podcast. That part's not exactly that relevant to the story, because they're marketing people, they're kind of doing their job. And that person then hooked her up directly with somebody that they said could help get her into the venue. She was so struck, emotionally stricken by the Charlie's assassination, like all of us were, that she just wanted to be a part of the memorial. And then just her luck, somebody said, oh yeah, I can get you in touch with someone that can get you through the door, and that's going to be great. And so I also just want to show you this, because in retrospect, she reads it and she realizes that she was being manipulated, right? This is the message. Perfect. I'm going to introduce you via text to TPUSA's Blank, who traveled everywhere with Charlie, handling many of their big donors. Blank says that Erika has been getting more death threats every day. He's promised Erika that he will run point on raising money to cover the memorial service, which is going to cost approximately $6 million. Apparently, Trump had to get personally involved to secure the Cardinal Stadium, which was planning to host a large and lucrative RV show this weekend. So making up that lost revenue to the stadium is driving the high costs of this event. It's crazy what their team is going through. Right there, already emotional.
Somebody says Candace Owens is a complete lunatic. What makes you say that? I'm just trying to understand. If you can, enlighten me, why do you think she's a complete lunatic? I'd like to know. Honest question.
No manipulation, right? This idea, you have to rescue Erika, she's not safe. And oh, by the way, it's going to be so expensive, this thing. She doesn't even see, she just thinks, oh my God, amazing, I can't believe this, and doesn't realize that this is.
They are grifters. I remember when the video went viral of Erika basically calling, I think she was about to speak, and then the young guy was introducing her. And then she took the mic and she says, she was introducing the guy, and she said something about a grift. That was a major Freudian slip, okay? That was a major Freudian slip. And obviously the conversation about grifting has been on her mind. And yeah, and to me, I don't think that happened by accident. That is obviously something that has been weighing heavily on her mind. And this is how they do. This is how they survive. This is how they make their money. They look for targets. They look for people that they think have money, and they strike friendship with them. You know, that's what they do.
Like, we'll get you in, but we're expecting you to kind of write a check.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do want to address that lucrative RV show this weekend. I went back on Wayback Machine, saved screenshots. There was no RV show that was on the calendar.
Yeah. They have been saying that. They've been pushing this narrative. And like, anytime they say things like this, anytime they do things like this, is for a reason. Nothing these people do, TPUSA, nothing they do is by accident. They know exactly what they're doing. There is a specific narrative that they're trying to push by trying to bring Trump into the fold, about how Trump had to step in, da 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 da. But there was nothing like that was really going on. There was no major event that took place, but all of that is part of the grift. All of that is part of the way to extort money. That is what that is about.
For this Cardinal Stadium, has anybody been able to find this? We've been told the story a couple of times now that the White House got involved and secured the venue, and people started asking questions about how this was possible to turn around so quickly, because there are, tons of policies in booking these sorts of venues. They don't do things last minute.
I have also heard, just from reading stuff on the internet, that because Charlie's assassination was pre-planned, they had already held that venue as a place where they were going to hold a memorial service. That's the word on the street, though, so don't come for me. That's what I've been reading, that is part of the proof that this whole thing was planned, down to the place where they were going to hold a memorial service. Because they keep saying that the big place where they eventually had it, the stadium, had an event that was already planned, but Trump had to step in. But there is not a lot about this so-called major event being talked about on the internet. So that means maybe there was no event, or maybe there was somebody somewhere that had to pretend that there was a major event just to hold that spot so that nobody rents it for what they were planning to do on September 10. I mean, like, I would not put anything past anybody. Okay, I would not put anything past anybody, because they know that emotions are high and people may not necessarily go and find the truth or investigate or whatever. So they can just say things like, oh, Trump had to step in. There was a major event that was supposed to happen in that venue, but Trump had to step in and so that Charlie's memorial can be held there. All of this could just be something that had been pre-planned. Okay, because they knew something major was going to happen and they were going to need that space. Do you get what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's what I don't know.
This RV show, if you know something about it, you were supposed to attend and had tickets and got an email and said, hey, never mind, it's off, please email more tips at CandaceOwens.com. I need to know more about this little RV show. Anyway, this idea that was going to cost them $6 million to make off the revenue. Obviously, we know they made a ton of money. They geofenced everybody's phones. I can't even imagine just selling the data.
So far, they have made a quarter, and that's the last estimation according to Candace. They have made over $250 million is what they have made since the passing of Charlie Kirk. So, you can run away with whatever narrative. You can think that, whoever it is that you suspect of having a hand in what happened to Charlie, but make no mistake about it. There is one person who's smiling all the way to the bank, and that is Erika Kirk. I'm pretty sure that Charlie had a life insurance. She's going to make money from that. In addition to Turning Point USA, that has now raised so much money, she's going to make money from that as well. In addition to everything, like she's CEO in name only. And as long as she continues to use her Turning Point USA as a shield for Israel, she's going to keep making money. As long as she turn a blind eye and she just use the organization as a shield, she's going to be happy for the rest of her life. She's going to be set for life. So that's the thing. So it's not out of line to say that Charlie was what more to Erika dead than when he was alive. Because had Charlie been alive, she would have been back in the kitchen or wherever she was, only coming out when Charlie wanted her to come out, when Charlie instructed her to. Definitely this level of power and financial buoyance that she now has will never have happened. Charlie would have been in control. All this money that she's now recently come into on account of Charlie passing, it would not have happened. So you see, do you get it? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? To borrow a line from Rush Hour, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? So yeah, Charlie not being here anymore, definitely, for what it's worth, whether good or bad, definitely was a financial bonus to Erika. And that is not me saying that she has something to do with it or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that she has benefited so much on account. And it's fair to say that he's what's more dead than alive to her. That is a natural conclusion, if you are logical.
On that would have been worth. But interesting to know, this is how it gets started, okay? So then she's sitting in the third row and she's now next to the priest. And I asked, what about the next, let's go more specifically about how you got to church next morning. Because that's interesting, right? Like you struck up a conversation, you said that you struck up a conversation, whatever. And that the priest said, yeah, come to mass. Well, the part that she forgot is that he told her in this text, Erika might be there. Good morning. I hope to see you at 8:30 a.m. Erika may be there too. Okay. That's an interesting text from a priest. Now, she believes that this is a good guy, and that's great. And I hope deeply in my heart that that is true. But I am beginning to ask questions about that because there's a lot there that's happening. If I am correct, he also canceled his mass on September 10th. Give me just a second because I hear my phone is on. That he canceled his mass on September 10th on that morning. I'd like to know more. I genuinely would like to know more. And I don't understand if a priest is just trying to get you through the door on a Monday morning to go to mass, why you would say, Erika might be here. And also, why is it a might? You would know. You more than anyone would know. You've been with her every second of every day throughout all of this. You know whether or not she's going to be there. You, her, and Stacy have been rolling pretty deep. So I feel like you knew she was going to be there. That's my opinion. I genuinely hope I'm wrong, and I'm open to be wrong, but I have to tell you how I feel about this. Anyway, she was amazed by this, and she went, and then you know what happens next? She gets a little tap from Stacey Sheridan, who should burst into flames when she walks into a church, if we're being honest. Okay, this woman, but think about that. What moved Stacey Sheridan to tap on this person's shoulder? Erika told her to do that. Erika gave her permission to do that. Why would she randomly go and say, tap, tap, would you like to sit with the grieving widow? That would be the most inappropriate thing ever. Ever. If you're sitting with your friend and your friend is grieving their husband, you would not be like, let me go up to a rando that I don't know and see if they just want to chill with her. You would want her to have privacy. Okay, there's a conversation that took place. Do not play us for dummies. Don't.
Right. Unless that rando is loaded with a lot of money and that rando is a target that they hope to exploit.
Don't do it. There was a conversation that took place between Erika and Stacey Sheridan, conversations that I have seen before between Charlie and Stacey Sheridan about who that woman is. That woman was targeted in that church. Okay. I don't care. Cut it. Do whatever you want to say. Put it on Instagram. Oh my God. Clutch your pearls. I can't believe. Yes, you better believe it. This woman was targeted in a church after mass. It makes me sick. It really does. So anyways, she thinks it's all God. But let me tell you something. Where Stacey Sheridan is, we're going in the other direction. Okay. We're going in the other direction. And then she sits and Erika opens up to her. They're having this beautiful conversation. And she then arranges, she was so amazed by this, that she organizes to get a relic from St. Michael, the same cave that sits behind me. And here's where I actually see God working, that this woman sent me this email and that of 50,000 emails coming in. I saw this email. I saved this email. And she happened to have, this is actually, I'm just thinking about this live. I got this relic. When was I in Wyoming? I got it in Wyoming from the priest in Wyoming. You're going to have to tell me. I feel like it was the first weeks of October, and this is when the woman sent me the email. So that's just something that, I'm sorry, I just had like a spiritual vibe about that also is the relic that she had and she gave to Erika. So St. Michael's doing a little bit of protection here. And I think that there is a reason that she had to go through this. Even sometimes when you're going through things like being scammed, there's a reason for that. And so this information came to me. She organizes St. Michael's relic, and she gets this to Erika. The next day at mass, she doesn't get to speak to Erika because this time another top fundraiser at Turning Point USA met her there and said, hey, Erika wanted me to follow up with you. And she, again, was so amazed by God working that she decided to even message the priest afterward and thank him that she was able to get this relic to Erika. And I just want to read you this because, again, her and I might have different perspectives here, but she says, I will always cherish my time with you both so much. I'm in absolute awe of how God worked through me to what I believe was to give Erika those relics. The experience felt like me directly witnessing God working through each of us. I just wanted to send a quick note to share. Hope to see you soon, Father. God bless. And in response, the father said, God bless. Thank you for sharing your wonderful words. God's fingerprints are all over what is happening. There is no doubt that your presence to Erika was a God moment for both of you. I don't like it.
Can you imagine a priest colluding and conniving with a widow, with a recently widowed, to extort a wealthy person? Like, this story is like crazy. Can you imagine a priest colluding and conniving with a recently widowed, not even 2 weeks, to extort from a wealthy person? Like, the story is just all kinds of wrong. All kinds of wrong. Like, it is crazy. Lordy.
Like it. I don't like it one bit. There's this, we have to protect Erika. This is God. This is God. What happens thereafter, I like even less. The intermediary, the person that delivered the relic, another top fundraiser for Turning Point USA, offered that he was going to be in the Chicago area. That's where she lives, in Illinois. And he says, hey, I'm going to be there already. Obviously, Charlie's from Chicago. I'm sure that was true. But I'd love to pop in and see you. And, we're all committed in this faith journey together. And that happens. And he meets her and he meets her father. And while he meets her, he then invites her to the big gala, the one at Mar-a-Lago, where they're going to raise like $42 million. And here's that message. He says, thank you for organizing dinner. It was great to spend time on the road with great Catholics. I had a wonderful time. And thank you for all the prayers, especially for Erika. Can I call you tomorrow regarding the gala? We would love to have you guys involved, but we can talk further. Erika repeated how much she loved meeting you. Again, why does this feel to me like manipulation? Like a bit of Erika.
Yeah, definitely felt like it. Oh, don't forget Erika. Don't forget the widow. Erika, Erika, Erika. Erika, Erika, Erika. Hi, Xavier. Good morning to you as well.
Really needed you. You were sent from God to Erika with Stacey Sheridan in the middle of it. Okay. Well, here's what happens next. She gets a little nudge when she does go down to Mar-a-Lago. She knows nothing about Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach, and I find that
Tracy, or whatever her name, Stacy, is the angel Gabriel. The middle angel, the middleman.
this part to be quite funny. Dark humor in this, because I know everything about Mar-a-Lago, and it's like little Israel. It really is, and it's where a lot of the meetings take place. The Zionist donors, PragerU doing a gala down there makes perfect sense. They do that, and they were all over this. Suddenly, she's there, and she's meeting a different Turning Point USA team. Like, she meets them at this church. It's Catholic, but she notices there's no Catholic discussion or presence. Rather, you got Dr. Frank Turek, and apparently, according to her, he's on stage and he's hitting not the Judeo. They're now editing their message because they're in a room with Jews, and suddenly we don't want to talk about the Catholicism. We don't want to talk about faith. We don't want to talk about relics. We don't want to talk about St. Michael. No, wrong crowd for this. Shabbat Shalom. Daddy's home.
This will never not be funny to me. Shabbat Shalom. Daddy's home. According to Erika. No, but seriously, on a serious note, that's what they do. They are grifters. It's what grifters do. All they need to do, depending on the crowd, they just need to tweak a few things, change the name, so they don't, and just spread the same message, because they are inauthentic, they are dishonest. It's what grifters do. So there you go. Yeah, just change the religion. I'm sure if they were among the Muslim crowd, it'll be a completely it will be the same message, but with different spin to it with regards to name change or religious loyalty or whatever. Yeah, is what grifters do.
And so she says to the person she's like, "What, why aren't you guys doing anything with the Catholic stuff? I felt, this was such a strong Catholic bond." And he kind of kicks the can down the road and says, "Oh, we're planning on doing stuff in the future." Like, not here. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom in Mar-a-Lago. And she's just like, no.
Yeah.
Something that this is not my thing over the.
That was the turning point. That was Erika and Turning Point's mistake, though, allegedly, by basically inviting her to come to Mar-a-Lago, not realizing, or maybe forgetting, maybe it was an oversight, not realizing that, she's going to figure us out, when we get to Mar-a-Lago and we're not about the Catholic faith, and instead only focusing on Judaism and whatever. So, yeah, that was the biggest mistake, inviting this person to Mar-a-Lago. That was where they fucked up big time.
Everyone's dressed to the nines, and she's like, I don't have an issue with Israel, but this feels like something else than what I experienced. And then what happens is they follow up with her, and they keep following up with her because they're looking to have a check, pretty much. I'd love to have a call, leave another message for your dad. I look forward.
Can you imagine, in spite of all the money that they raised, because according to Candace, they raised over $40 million in Mar-a-Lago, and that was still not enough for them. They were still trying to extort somebody else who has basically now seen them for who they are. It's very... grifters are the greediest.
Forward to getting y'all involved. I hope all is well. I wanted to set up time to visit and discuss further support. Are you available? Of a check, pretty much. And she's like, I don't have an issue with Israel, but this feels like something else than what I experienced. And then what happens is they follow up with her, and they keep following up with her because they're looking to have a check, pretty much. I'd love to have a call, leave another message for your dad. I look forward to getting y'all involved. I hope all is well. I wanted to set up time to visit and discuss further support. Are you available the 2nd or 3rd week of February? Hi, I want to touch base and check in. Let me know if we could schedule a call. And she kind of just leaves him on red because she realizes, I think I was actually targeted.
Yeah, she realized the grift.
I think I was actually targeted, and she was targeted. But nothing God lets everything happen.
Mm.
What I will say is that God will not be mocked.
Yeah.
God will not be mocked.
Yeah. That's what the Bible says. Be ye not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, that shall it reap.
I'm a Latter-day Saint on a Monday. I'm a Catholic on a Tuesday.
I'm a
I'm
Muslim
Shabbat Shalom on a Wednesday. God will not be mocked. I see this for what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no surprises anymore for me. A turning point faith, the infiltration, it's very clear. And there is something so especially sinister about hijacking people's faith and their emotion. And when she expressed that I normally, I'm a businesswoman, I have my guard up, but when it comes to faith and I'm thinking that this is all happening, I look back and I go, man, I didn't even process this, because you shouldn't have had to process that. No one should have had to have been thinking this way, that people were using our trauma and our emotions and our spirituality to manipulate us.
Yeah.
Again,
but that's when
God will not be mocked.
But that's when it's most profitable. That is when people are more vulnerable and their guards are down as a result of a traumatic experience. That's when grifters, scammers, that's when they swoop in, because they know that you're not thinking clearly, your guards are down, and you're just not in the right headspace. They capitalize on that. It's what they do. That's why you see they barely go to people who are alert, people who are very present, who are not going through any kind of emotional trauma situations or whatever. They typically don't mess with that. They only go to people who are vulnerable. It's what they do. It's the playbook of the grifters, basically. So I was waiting for this person to respond, and they did not respond. The person who said Candace Owens is a complete lunatic. It is so interesting how they now call her a lunatic. Personally, I don't think Candace Owens is a lunatic. I think she's very smart. And this is something that a lot of people do not give her credit for. I have seen people, even on the left, on the right, they try to diminish Candace Owens' intelligence. They always say, oh, she's not smart, oh, this and that. And that is such microaggression. They are only saying that because she is a Black woman, because they cannot fathom the idea. They will never give her the credit of being a smart woman. I have seen people like even Hassan Piker. I have seen Nick Fuentes. I have seen people try to dismiss her as unintelligent. And then yet the same people like Hassan Piker will pop up what's his name, Nick Fuentes, as a highly intelligent person. No, Nick Fuentes is not highly intelligent. Yeah, he has a verbal IQ, but that's about it. He's not smart. But when they see someone like Candace Owens, they never ever say that she's smart. They say she's not smart, she's not intelligent. But it is so funny. And also, case in point, the person that is here saying that she's a complete lunatic. When Candace Owens was using her talent, her platform to go after the Black community, these people, they thought she was the smartest person. They thought she was the most intelligent person. They thought she was the sanest person. They thought she was the most morally upright person. They were fine when she was going after her Black community. They encouraged it. Even Candace herself has said that they encouraged her to double down on her attack against her community. They encouraged it. But now that she's using this, she's using the same method. Nothing has changed at all. She's using the same methodology. She's using the same everything. All of a sudden, they want to call her crazy. They want to call her weird. They want to call her unintelligent. To me, that is rich coming from y'all. She's a very smart woman. and she's choosing to go wherever her mind tells her to go. So that will never fly with me when people say, oh, she's crazy, or she's a complete lunatic, or she's unintelligent. No, because when she was using this same energy to go after her community, to do your beatings, you guys will come and say, be like Candace Owens, she's so smart, she's so intelligent. That's what you guys used to say. Be like Candace Owens, she's so smart, she's so intelligent. And all of a sudden, because you guys are now at the receiving end of that same energy, all of a sudden you want her to be completely dismissed. You want us to stop paying attention to her. No, I will not do that. I will pay attention to Candace Owens, and I would listen to her, because I personally think she's actually very intelligent. She's very smart. She's very articulate. You know, she's incredibly intelligent. She's incredibly smart. The people saying that she's not smart are just angry because she's now turned on them. And that's the only way they can counter. So yeah, tough luck. Tough luck to you. Because Candace is here to stay. She's not going anywhere. She has a huge, massive following. She's not going anywhere. You guys are going to have to deal. You guys are going to have to adjust. You guys are going to have to just accept what it is. So yeah. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment. Thank you guys so much for joining. Those of you who were live with me, if you're catching this later on in playback, don't forget to hit the like button, and also share and like the video and subscribe if you've not already done so. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night or morning or whenever you're watching this. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.